Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and I'm at work, but I wanted to make a quick video because I just recently heard about this fantastic news. And when I tell you what this news is, some of you guys might say I'm a cold-hearted SOB, and that's fine, but I'm always going to tell you what I honestly think and feel. And this morning I come to find out that Dianne Feinstein is no longer amongst the living. She's gone. Her attack on our Second Amendment rights, her perpetual attack on our civil rights is finally over. And I am so glad and so happy to hear she is going to go to her grave, never getting to implement her civilian disarmament fever dream. You know, back in the 90s, she was the architect of the assault weapons ban. And she said in that famous interview, if she could have gotten 51 votes, she would have said, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in. She was the epitome and she was the personification of everything our founding fathers warned us about. She was exactly the type of politician that craved power. I mean, look, she was in the Senate for 30 years. And even in the past 5 or 6 years, when everybody knows she had Alzheimer's, everybody knows she had dementia, she was not able to execute her role as a senator and represent her constituents. She still held on to power because power meant more than anything. Did she spend the last years of her life in California with her family, surrounded by her friends, traveling the world? No. Where was she? Washington, D.C. That's where she was, because she could not let her power go. She couldn't walk away from it because it's so intoxicating. And she looked down upon you. She knew that you were a plebe. You were just a regular common person. She wasn't. While she's being protected by people with machine guns and assault weapons, she wanted to make sure you were disarmed. Every Congress, ever since the 90s, she would try to pass more gun control. Every legislative session, here comes the next assault weapons ban. Now, I know that the person that's going to replace her is probably just as bad. You know, whoever Gavin Newsom appoints is going to be just as bad. But she was the personification of pure evil, in my opinion. Now, she wasn't the most evil person to ever walk the face of the earth. I'm not saying that, okay? But her record speaks for itself. She had so little regard for the founding documents. She had so little regard for all the men and women who have sacrificed their lives in service of our country to defend your rights, that she would just be fine with just wiping them all away. Why? For political power. And her time in the Senate proves that, because she would not let her power go. And I am so glad that finally, she's gone. She's finally gone. I don't know about you, but I'm going to be celebrating this weekend. I'm going to have a nice meal, a nice steak, and I'm going to go down to my gun club, and I'm going to exercise my Second Amendment rights. I'm going to express my love of freedom and just shoot some guns, especially guns that she wanted to ban, because I want to give her a big middle finger as they're putting her in the ground. I know some of you guys are going to say, Jason, you shouldn't speak ill of the dead. And I totally get it. And I think that's true for most people. You know, we're not perfect people. None of us are. We've all said and done things that we shouldn't have done. But you know what? When I make a mistake in my personal life, or I do something that you guys might think is maybe a little bit mean, or maybe I'm being a jerk, it doesn't affect the lives or the rights of other people. You know, it doesn't. It doesn't hurt anybody else. Okay? And so when other people pass away, they might not have been the nicest person in the world, but you go, yeah, they didn't really bother me. I'm not going to say anything, you know, ill will against them. But Dianne Feinstein, she spent her entire legislative, political life advocating for the dissolution of your civil rights, the destruction of the Second Amendment, and she looked down upon you. And trust me, if you passed away, she would have been really happy because you supported gun rights. She hated you. She hated you. All she cared about was her power. She didn't care about this country. She had no concept of this nation's founding political philosophy. She didn't care about freedom. She cared about consolidation of her own power, getting rich, because look at how rich she became. On a $250,000 a year salary, she amassed a fortune of tens of millions of dollars. And how do you think she did that? Of course, things like insider trading. She was the epitome of what the Founding Fathers warned us against. They said, we want to put a system in place to prevent people like this from getting into power, being there forever, and then making sure you can't defend yourself. Because she wanted to make sure that when her power and her party had these huge overreaches, there was no way for you ever to fight back. And so I know that she's going to be replaced by somebody that's worse. I know that. But I like to think there's a little bit less evil in this world. And I am so happy. I am going to do a little dance today. I'm going to have a great meal, celebrate this great news, and I'm going to go to the range and exercise my Second Amendment rights, and I'm going to shoot some AR-15s, the guns that she hated. This is just great news. I'm just ecstatic, and I'm sorry. I know some of you guys are going to say, Jason, you should just, but go back and, actually, I don't know if the video is still up because it was on my old channel, but when Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away, I didn't say anything really negative about her. I understand that she was good friends with, Antonin Scalia, and while they had different political philosophies and judicial philosophies than probably many of us, she did it the right way. She wasn't mean and vindictive. Dianne Feinstein was mean and vindictive. She was mean and vindictive. She wanted to use the power of government to hurt you, disarm you, and wield as much power as possible. And I'm sad that the voters of California would not, remove her from office. But I'm glad that finally, the Grim Reaper and God said, I'm done with this. You're done. I'm happy. This is a great day for the Second Amendment, and the fight still goes on, but man, I am so happy. And as I said, the best part of this is she's going to her grave never realizing her disarmament dream, and that makes me so happy. So I know some of you guys are going to say, I just said, I'm a jerk, I'm mean, I'm cold-hearted, whatever, but it's how I honestly feel, because trust me, she felt the same way about you. Man, I'm glad this day is here. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say, and spread the good news. So I hope you're having a great day, because I know I am. So, as always, thanks for watching.